My name is Odella. 2 weeks ago, my sister told me I was the reason everything in her life kept falling apart. She said it loud enough for my parents to hear. And the worst part, they nodded. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked out the door with my backpack and silence. But this morning, I woke up to 14 missed calls. Now suddenly they need me. Why? It was already night when that moment happened, the kind where even the walls feel like they're holding their breath. My sister Seraphine sat posed like a magazine cover on the family's big cream couch, her phone balanced on a tripod and a bright ring light, making her skin look flawless. She was wrapping up a live stream, thanking her followers for helping her hit 50,000. My parents watched her like she was delivering a Nobel lecture. I stood in the doorway watching them, clutching a chipped tea mug I had reheated twice. My name wasn't mentioned, not once. I'd learned how to become invisible in that house. So invisible that sometimes I wondered if the chairs remembered me more than my family did. Then everything unraveled. The screen on her laptop glitched for half a second. Seraphine's carefully crafted smile faltered. Her tone jumped from sweet to sharp. "Oh my God, not again," she snapped, eyes narrowing toward me. Her voice cut the air like broken glass. "Why does everything glitch when you're around? Honestly, you're like a curse." I blinked. "What?" She rolled her eyes. "You throw off my vibe. You make the energy heavy just by breathing. It's like your presence ruins everything." I turned my eyes to my mother, waiting, hoping she'd say something to balance the cruelty in the room. She didn't. She just smoothed her skirt and said, calmly, "She's not wrong, Odella. Ever since you came back, it feels like bad luck follows us. You've made things harder. For all of us." My father just rubbed his forehead like he'd seen this before and was tired of it. I felt the heat rising to my cheeks, but I didn't defend myself. I didn't ask why they were so ready to believe the worst in me. I just turned, walked down the hallway to the cramped guest room they'd reluctantly let me stay in. The door stuck halfway closed like it always did. The carpet still smelled faintly of dust and cheap lavender spray. I moved without emotion, folding a few clothes into my old college backpack. I didn't take keepsakes. No framed photos, no handwritten notes. I'd stopped writing those when I realized no one cared to read them. 15 minutes later, I was gone. No one called out. No one asked where I was headed. The street outside was hushed, the kind of quiet that comes only after something important breaks. I walked a few blocks to a gas station lit by humming fluorescent lights. I bought a granola bar and a bottle of water out of habit more than hunger. I asked the cashier if the bus still ran this late. Maybe he grunted. If he's on time. He wasn't, but I waited anyway. I sat on that cold metal bench with my hands deep in my coat pockets and my bag between my feet like a lifeline. When the bus finally arrived, I climbed on, paid what I had left, and didn't look back. The ride into the city was quiet. Just the sound of tires and distant streetlights smearing themselves across the windows like soft brush strokes. I didn't expect kindness from strangers, but something about their disinterest felt oddly comforting. No one tried to make me explain myself. No one asked me why I looked so hollow. By the time the bus pulled into the last stop, it was after midnight. I walked a few blocks through downtown until I found a motel I had passed 100 times but never dared to enter. The neon sign buzzed and blinked like it couldn't make up its mind whether to stay alive. The man behind the front desk didn't ask questions. He handed me a key with the room number scribbled in marker. Cash or card? I gave him my last $42. He handed me the key and turned his eyes back to a reality show on the tiny screen beside him. The room smelled like cigarette smoke sealed into the curtains years ago. The sheets were scratchy. The air conditioner rattled like an old man trying to breathe through phlegm. I dropped my backpack on the floor and sat on the edge of the bed. It groaned under my weight. I didn't take off my shoes. I didn't cry. I just stared at the ceiling, at a brown water stain that looked like a broken heart, or maybe a black hole depending on how you looked at it. My phone was silent. No messages. No "where are you?" No "come home." Nothing. Then suddenly it buzzed. Just once. My breath caught. I turned it over. It was a notification, reminder package undelivered Mother's Day gift from Odella, 2 years ago. I had forgotten all about it. Silk handkerchiefs I had saved up for. I even had her initials monogrammed. She never opened it. They never opened me. The sun wasn't even up yet. When I opened my eyes the next morning, there wasn't a single sound in the room except the hum of the old heater working half-heartedly in the corner. I sat on the bed rubbing my hands together to chase away the chill, and took inventory of everything I had. $270 and some change. No job, no home, no plan. But I had something else. Clarity. That kind of clarity that comes after someone slams a door in your face and you finally stop hoping they'll open it again. I took a slow breath and headed out. My feet ached before I even reached the main road. But I kept walking. Just past the bus depot, I found a tiny cafe with a handwritten sign in chalk. Free Wi-Fi, coffee refills all day. That was all I needed. Inside, the air smelled like over-toasted bagels and lemon-scented cleaning spray. I ordered the smallest coffee they had, $1.75, and sat by the only table near an outlet. I plugged in my phone, pulled out my notebook, and opened the one app I had bookmarked but never touched. A tutoring platform I had registered for years ago. The profile still had my old photo. The bio read, Sat and Act Tutoring, patient, organized, will work evenings and weekends. I updated it, specializing in test prep, writing skills, and helping students find confidence. I believe in showing up when no one else does. That last line didn't come from nowhere. I could still hear Grandma's voice in my head, warm and steady. You're the one who listens, Deli. You see people even when they don't see you. She used to say that when I was young, sitting beside her while everyone else talked over one another at the table. She always made me feel like being quiet wasn't a flaw. It was a gift. I had forgotten that. Or maybe they made me forget. I paused halfway through the 5th job application and remembered something that hadn't crossed my mind in a long time. Grandma's funeral. A woman I barely knew, maybe a distant cousin or an old church friend, had leaned close to me and whispered, "Your grandmother's second letter." It was beautiful. I hope it brought you comfort. I blinked. Second letter. She looked confused. She wrote you another one, months before she passed. I assumed you got it, but I hadn't. 3 days later I asked my mother about it. She didn't hesitate. It was just old lady ramblings. You didn't miss anything. That's what she called Grandma's words, just noise. Just something not worth delivering. Like me. That second letter, like so many other things, had been erased. Just like I had been. Not all at once, but piece by piece over the years. Edges shaved off. Voice silenced. Until I stopped expecting to be heard. But I was listening now, and I was done being quiet. By noon I had applied to 16 listings. Parents desperate for tutors. Students overwhelmed. Teenagers trying to claw their way into college. People just like me trying to prove they belonged. Then something happened. A reply. Then another. By the end of the week I had 3 clients. 2 high school juniors and 1 adult learner prepping for the GED. I borrowed a Chromebook from the public library 2 blocks away. They let me book 2-hour slots for free. I used those hours like they were gold. And for the first time in years I felt useful. My students listened. They asked questions. They said thank you. One girl, Riley, said during our second session, "You're the only person who's ever explained this stuff in a way I get." I smiled. Not because she said it, but because I believed it. That night I returned to the motel and sat down on the bed with the receipt from my check-in still folded in my pocket. I flipped it over and started writing $25 received. Riley 1 hour $35 received. GED session $18 left for food this week. 2 more nights. That's all I could afford at the motel. I looked around the room. It smelled like bleach and damp towels, but it was mine. For now. For the first time in forever, I felt something stir in my chest that wasn't sadness or shame. It was pride. Small, quiet, but real. They never saw me building. I whispered to myself. Because they never believed I could. I lay down on top of the covers and stared at the ceiling. A vending machine buzzed just outside the window. A couple argued faintly 2 doors down. And then my phone lit up. I expected a message from a client. Instead, it was a social media notification. Family means showing up. That's who your real tribe is. It was Seraphine's latest post. Her smiling face next to Mom. both holding glasses of wine. But I didn't notice them first. I noticed the wall behind them, the family photo. Only it was different. The old portrait, the one from when I was 16, was gone. The one where they used to make me stand on a stool so I wouldn't look too short. Replaced. Now there was a new photo. Seraphine in the center, of course. Mom on one side, beaming. Dad smiling like he'd been told to. Even the dog Sprout, the golden retriever they got after I left, sat front and center. But me. I wasn't there. I had been edited out of existence. Not forgotten. Removed. I stared at the photo on my screen. It wasn't just a picture. It was a message. Loud and clear. This is who we are now. You are not part of it. My thumb instinctively zoomed in, like maybe I'd find myself hidden in the corner behind someone's elbow or a lamp. But I wasn't there. I didn't cry. Strangely, all I felt was a slow, heavy warmth climbing up my chest. Not anger. Not even shock. Just that hollow realization of being replaced. I scrolled back through my sister's older posts. Photos captioned family dinner night. Blessed to have my tribe. Throwback to the best days. In all of them I was either cropped out, facing away, or missing entirely. I remembered being 9 years old, standing on a stool at church for a family picture, trying not to look too short. Seraphine had joked, "Odella always looks like she photobombed us." Everyone laughed. Even Mom. That day they moved me to the end of the lineup. For symmetry. But I knew what it really meant. Easier to crop. And here I was. Cropped again. I set my phone down gently, afraid even it might reject me if I moved too fast. To distract myself, I opened my tote bag and began organizing tutoring inquiries. I had a few messages from new students and some follow-ups from parents. My small business was starting to find its rhythm. Then, out of curiosity, I checked my spam folder. A subject line caught my eye. Family podcast opportunity. Inquiry response. Sent by Seraphine. I had been CC'd. The message was short, professional on the surface but lined with poison. It was addressed to a PR rep, pitching an episode about modern sibling dynamics and resilience through social media influence. And at the bottom her note, "Please exclude Odella. She's emotionally unstable and bitter. We don't speak for a reason. It's taken years to rebuild our family's reputation. I don't want her involvement." I sat back in my chair. Bitter. Unstable. Rebuild. I read those words again. Then a third time. I didn't shout. I didn't throw my phone. I didn't even blink. I just screenshot it. Then I printed it the next morning at the library and taped it to the motel wall right beside Grandma's letter. The one I had printed long ago. The one she wrote me before she died. The one my mother never delivered. There they were, 2 pieces of paper. One full of belief. One full of betrayal. One said, "You were born to build what no one else sees." The other said, "We rebuilt without you." And I had proof of both. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat with a pen and notepad and began writing down every memory, every moment, every phrase they had used to make me doubt myself. Not to punish. Not to stew. To document. Dates. Quotes. Photos. Messages. This wasn't drama. This was clarity. This was survival. Then, like life had finally decided to play fair, I got an email. A tutoring agency based in Dallas had reviewed my profile. They wanted to onboard me. $75 per student. More than I had made in weeks. I stared at the screen. I didn't laugh. I didn't jump. I just felt something settle in me, like a foundation being poured. Quiet victories don't always come with applause. That Friday, I used my new income to put down a deposit on a small room in a shared apartment. No more neon motel lights. No more thin walls. It wasn't fancy, but it had a door that locked. And a desk. My own desk. I sat at it that night with my phone beside me, organizing my week's schedule. I scrolled through messages, replying to students, when suddenly a knock. I opened the door and froze. It was Mila. We hadn't spoken in nearly a year. Once she had been my closest friend, but she had pulled away after my family started whispering things I couldn't hear but always felt. She looked tired, her face drawn. In her hands, wrapped in a faded dish towel, was something small. "I heard what happened," she said, but I didn't believe it, until I saw this. She held out an envelope. My name was written on it in my own handwriting. It was still sealed. I found it in your mother's desk, she said, voice shaking, under a pile of expired coupons. My knees nearly gave out. It was the birthday card I had mailed my mother last year. The one with a letter inside. The one where I asked her for a second chance. She never opened it. Just like she never opened the last one. Just like she never opened me. I held the envelope in my hands for a long time before opening it. It was smooth. Untorn. Exactly the way I had mailed it nearly a year ago. Inside was the pink card I'd chosen from a little shop downtown, and the note I had written on a quiet evening, filled with hope and aching. Mom, if there's still a place for me in your heart, I'd like to sit there again. Not asking for everything. Just a call back. I miss our Tuesday talks. I miss you. Love, Odella. I read it once, then again. The words felt like they belonged to a younger version of me, someone who still believed trying again would make people love her better. She had left it in a drawer, not even thrown away, just buried under discount flyers and expired coupons, like something she meant to remember, but didn't care enough to act on. Myla sat across from me, silent, watching, holding back tears of her own. That's not all, she said softly. She reached into her tote bag and pulled out another set of papers, printed pages. I found these too, she said. I used to help you build this stuff. Remember? The lesson plans, the diagnostic guides, the tutoring tools. I saw her using them. Same formatting. Same fonts. She's passing your work off as hers. It was Seraphine's new website, the Success Academy. Page after page. My words. My diagrams. My system. Her name. Her branding. Her face. I sat frozen. Even my sidebars. Even my color-coded charts. It was mine. All of it. Years of quiet effort. And she stole it like it was nothing. Myla whispered. She told people you gave it to her. We both knew that was a lie. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there, still and cold, staring at my work, wearing someone else's name like a mask. That night, Myla left quietly. She hugged me at the door and whispered, "They don't get to erase you." I closed the door and sat on the floor of my small new room. No noise, no TV, just me, the faint ticking of the wall clock and the quiet hum of anger, not the explosive kind. The kind that settles into your bones like winter. Then my phone buzzed. Once, twice, 14 times. Missed calls. Voicemails. I didn't answer. But curiosity, it opened me. The last voicemail was from my father. He sounded exhausted. "Odella. Listen. Your sister's being torn apart online. Some blogger found the overlap in her materials and posted a comparison. It's going viral. She's saying you're making it up. But people aren't buying it. We need your help to calm it down. Please. We. Not me. Not I'm sorry. Not how are you. Just, we need you." I let the silence sit, let the words rot on the air, because they always needed me, when things broke, when their image cracked, when the house started to burn, but never when it was about me, never when I was the one bleeding. Later that night, I opened my laptop to prepare for a tutoring session. I scrolled through my folders to access my curriculum. My hand paused on a folder I hadn't opened in years. Grandma_legal. Inside was a PDF I had scanned 5 years ago and forgotten all about. Her will. The original, handwritten, notarized copy. My heart stopped as I read the clause aloud. All curriculum, educational materials and tutoring systems created with or by Odella Shipley are to remain solely hers. Full ownership, copyright, and use reserved for Odella. It was there, clear, official, proof. She had protected me, quietly, legally, and no one told me. The next morning, with that will in my hands, I walked into a small law office in downtown Austin. The lawyer's name was Margot. Mid-50s, smart eyes. No nonsense. I sat down, handed her the will, and said calmly, "I don't want to sue yet. I just want this filed, verified, documented, made public. I want it to be known that what she's using belongs to me." Margot read it, nodded slowly, and tapped her pen on the paper. "You don't need to fight them," she said. "You just need a notice." I left her office with paperwork in one hand and something new in my chest. Power, not anger, not fear, just quiet power. But the peace didn't last. That evening, I heard 3 sharp knocks on my door. I looked through the peephole and almost laughed out loud. There they were, Verena, Gareth, and Seraphine. I opened the door, didn't say anything, didn't invite them in. We stood in the hallway, the air between us thick as ice. Verena looked tired. Her lipstick faded, her hands shaking. Seraphine's eyeliner was smeared, the shine of her social media face completely gone. Gareth, as usual, said nothing. We made mistakes, my mother started. But, family means forgiveness. I raised an eyebrow. Family meant opening my letter, I said. It meant reading my name in your captions. It meant not replacing me in your photos. She looked down. I turned to Seraphine. Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to say something, but had no script to perform this time. I stepped back. I'm not the one who broke this family, and I'm not the one who's going to fix it. Then I closed the door, not with a slam, with a click, and turned the lock. I made tea that night, chamomile, the kind Grandma used to brew when I was young and restless, thinking the world would break me. She'd smile and say, "No, sweetheart, it's just sharpening you." I carried the mug to my desk and opened my laptop. A red banner flashed across the top of the screen. Your website has been suspended due to a copyright violation claim. Below it, your content is under legal review, temporary removal enforced. I clicked for details. No sender listed, just an anonymous report accusing me of stealing my own materials. I knew immediately where it had come from. Margot called within the hour. It's traced back to your sister's branding firm, she said without a hint of doubt. This was a calculated strike. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. Instead, I opened a new folder. One by one, I gathered every lesson I had written, every diagram, every video recording, every timestamp. Then I highlighted the clause from Grandma's will, scanned and notarized, and I wrote my response. No emotion, no drama, just truth. This content is original, authored by me, protected by legal inheritance. All documentation attached. Then I sent an email, not just to the hosting board, to every client I had worked with, every contact I'd made since I rebuilt myself from motel Wi-Fi and borrowed Chromebooks. I didn't beg, I just told them the truth. Within the hour, the replies started rolling in. One stood out. A mother from Houston I had worked with months ago. You helped my daughter get her GED when everyone else gave up on her. Don't let them take this from you. You're the real thing. I printed that message, pinned it beside Grandma's will. 2 pieces of paper, one written in ink, one written in effort. Together they became my armor. By evening the storm shifted, but not over my house. This time, it rained on hers. Seraphine had posted something vague on her profile, a caption about how some people just want to take credit for hard work once it's already built. But the internet wasn't buying it this time. An old intern of hers posted receipts, screenshots, timestamps, proof, lesson plans from before her business ever launched, all tied to me. A quiet uprising began in her comment section. Why is Odella not credited anywhere? This looks like straight-up plagiarism. Family shouldn't mean theft. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Truth speaks louder when you don't interrupt it. Then Margot called again. I could hear the hesitation in her voice. Odella, her team just filed an emergency injunction. They're trying to block you permanently. Take your platform down. I closed my eyes. There it was. Their last swing. Not an apology. Not a phone call. An ambush. I opened my laptop. Recorded a short video. No makeup. No background music. Just me. I held up the will. Read the clause aloud. Screen shared my files. Showed the draft dates. The diagrams. The curriculum before her business existed. The emails. The PR pitch where I was erased. And I said, they told me to stay silent. But sometimes truth deserves a voice. This is mine. Then I clicked upload. Within hours my phone was buzzing again. But this time it wasn't voicemails begging me to fix things. It was students, parents, teachers, creators, sharing, tagging, supporting, a TikTok stitch, a blog post. Even Reddit turned in my favor. Someone wrote, funny how the ones they silence always end up with the strongest proof. Late that night, a voicemail came in. My mother. No screaming. Just soft, broken words. We're sorry, not for everything, maybe not yet, but for letting it happen. You didn't deserve that, Odella. I didn't call her back, not because I didn't hear it, but because I finally knew I didn't need to. The next day, a package arrived by courier, certified mail, legal envelope, from her lawyer. Inside, a proposed settlement. 6 figures. In exchange for my silence. Withdraw all claims. Take down the video. Never speak publicly again. It was hush money. A price tag on my story. I read it twice. Once as the girl who used to beg for a seat at the table. Then again as the woman who built her own table. Then I walked to the shredder, fed the paper through the blades, and watched the silence dissolve into strips. That evening I posted my final update. Not a video, just a single image. My name, my credentials, and beneath it, you don't owe silence to people who erased you. I won't stay quiet to make others comfortable. Not anymore. By morning the image had gone viral, not because it was loud, but because it named something women everywhere had felt but never said. The comment that stayed with me most came from a girl in St. Louis. I thought I was the only one. Thank you for speaking when I couldn't. In my new office, a small sunlit corner of a rented home, I hung 3 things on the wall. 1. Grandma's will. 2. The letter she wrote me. 3. That student's message from Houston. I didn't need a fancy desk or applause. I had truth, and it was mine. I haven't heard from my family since. Not on birthdays. Not after Seraphine's website was shut down. Not when rumors spread about the house being sold. Some say it was to cover legal costs. Others say they just gave up. But I didn't chase the gossip. Because I didn't need to. I didn't fight to ruin them. I fought to reclaim me. Last month I launched a small scholarship fund in Grandma's name. Nothing flashy. Just a quiet gift for students like the ones who helped save me. One letter I received read, "You were the first person who told me I wasn't dumb. I believed you, and now I believe in me." I sat with that letter for a long time, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. That was peace. Just yesterday, I printed a copy of Grandma's letter again, slipped it into an envelope, no return address, mailed it to a girl I once tutored. She'd once told me her parents said she dreamed too loud. I hope that when she opens it she reads the words that saved me. You will build what no one sees today, and I hope she does.